Hi, I'm Russell Wilson. You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio .world, and I'm here to introduce the panel for the next segment, Communities of Conscience, Protect Communities of Color. On this panel will be talk show host for Rainier Avenue Radio, Mr. John Yasutake, co-executive director of Khmer Community in Seattle King County is Stephanie Ung, and from the Black Farmers Collective is James King. These panel participants will give you a wealth of information. I'm going to step out of the way and let that happen. Here we go. John, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Russell. Thank you very much. Yeah, I am very happy and very pleased to be here. And for those of you who don't know, I do have a show every Thursday live, 6 to 7 on Rainier Avenue Radio .world. My show is Seattle Here and Now, meeting and greeting different individuals in our community, talking about contemporary issues affecting our community, etc., etc. But today, in celebration of Earth, there's more than a day. Earth Day was yesterday, as a matter of fact. All week long, Rainier Avenue Radio .world, in conjunction and in partnership with King County Parks, will be presenting informative panel discussions, videos, film displays down at the theater. Come on down to 4916 Rainier Avenue South in Columbus City, and the Columbus City Theater. Make yourself visible. Come on down and check it out. We need to celebrate Earth, because this is our only place to live, our Earth. And we know that there are issues involved with our Earth involving climate, climate issues, pollution issues. We know what happened in, Fukushima and other disasters. And so, we need, right now, Hanford in Eastern Washington, there are issues involving atomic waste getting into our water system and into the Columbia River. So, I mean, this is something that we as individuals have some control over. We need to stop polluting. We need to stop degrading our air, our climate, etc. Everything is related, and we need to understand that. There are individuals, for their dumbheadedness, who don't believe that these things occur. I won't mention his name, but our former president was really aghast with respect to knowledge about the environment. And I won't mention his name, like I said, Donald J, whatever. And, you guys can fill in the blanks. But I want to invite Stephanie and I want to invite James to come on in, and let's commence with the panel discussion on communities of conscience. So there they are, my illustrious panel members. Folks, we got together a couple of weeks ago and we talked about how important it is for people to understand the environment, our communities, and the things that are pressing upon our communities. And also, the good news is we have individuals like Stephanie and James who are active members of the community and doing things that are real pro-positive, affecting the community, supporting the community as advocates for our environment, all of these things. And I don't want to get into all the adjectives and the adverbs and all that, but I do want to thank you, Stephanie. I do want to thank you, James, for being a panel member and talk about it, because I really do want to get information about what your various communities are doing. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. So let me begin by saying this. Back in the 70s, it was pressed upon, and believe it or not, it was Richard Milhous Nixon. And you remember that name, Stephanie, because you're a Cali girl, so that's where Richard Nixon's from. And so, yeah, well, he's from California, but he initiated federal, I guess you could say, executive orders um, about the environment, and subsequently presidents afterwards. Jimmy Carter, actually Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, our current president, Joseph Biden. Um, so these are the things that have been on our minds and in the part of our lifestyle since the 70s. So we're talking about 50 years, but let's think about it going back a few hundred years. The first, I guess you could say, purveyors of our environment were the Native American Indian, the indigenous people. And I tell a story about, and reading about it, they were aghast when these buffalo hunters were coming in and killing all the buffalo and not saving the meat. They were just getting the hides. And uh, the Native American Indian lifestyle was to eat what we need, save what we can, and let the natural elements flourish. They didn't dam the rivers. They didn't decimate herds of animals. They did what they needed to do to survive. And that's what they predicated the lifestyle on until these guys, these European transplanted individuals come into this country and they do what they did. So that's the kind of things that we need to um, keep in mind of, that this has been an issue that's been going on for at least a couple hundred years. And so, getting right to it, not to try to date or age anybody, I want to ask Stephanie if she could kind of share with us a little bit about her background and where she grew up and how she got it, especially how and her education. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have room for it on the screen, but she has, as well as James. You guys have a laundry list of things you've been involved in, environment, consequences of reparation, all of these things. So, I mean, that's why I'm so happy to have you here. I'm very fortunate. But Stephanie, let's begin with you. Like I said, you're originally, I think, a California young lady. I won't say Cali girl. I won't say.
No, it's true. And John, you're right about Nixon. And I think I'm most familiar with Nixon because his administration is the one who okayed the bombings of Cambodia and South Asia to try to intimidate North Vietnam. So that's what I associate with that administration.
Well, hold on. You bomb a neutral country to scare the ones you're at war with, Vietnam. What sense does that make?
Yeah, great question. Recently though, during the Clinton administration, they declassified a lot of that information. So that context and history is still like not being taught in schools and not something that a lot of our young people know, because those bombings definitely created a lot of instability in Cambodia and ultimately, many people argue, led to the rise of the Khmer Rouge and people who are seeking to stand up against the bombings and the violence that's happening. And then it kind of turned into what we now know as the Khmer Rouge genocide. But it's knowledge that not many of our young people know, and not many people who work with our young people know either. So and that's stuff those are things that our elders who we currently serve in Khmer community of Seattle King County survived. So it's not even that long ago. I think sometimes when we talk about history, it's as if the people who went through it have passed away. But for our community, when we talk about the trauma of genocide and the Khmer Rouge, like there are elders who went through that, who've been through that, who we still see today.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So from that, so I'm the co-executive director for Khmer community of Seattle King County. And I stumbled into this work by way of dancing. I started to learn Khmer traditional dance in college. And then in 2019 or 2017, I was seeking community, just getting back into something that was connected to my ancestry. and the Seattle Sihanoukville Sister City Association responded to my request to get involved. And then I've been connected with Khmer community of Seattle King County ever since. And it's been quite a blessing to see the last 4 years really grow. We grew a lot during the pandemic, doing vaccine clinics and food distributions. And it's been most special to be able to bring my environmental justice background into the community. So John, like you said, I grew up in California around Los Angeles area, San Fernando Valley, Simi Valley specifically. And I moved to Seattle in 2010 to go to the University of Washington, where I studied environmental studies with a focus on environmental education. I was really inspired by creating opportunities for young people to feel safe and connected in nature with each other. But I was feeling really disconnected from my peers in that program. There was a lot of whiteness, a lot of privilege, a lot of folks who cared about Mother Earth because they had really fond experiences camping or hiking with their families, and therefore they wanted to protect Earth, which is not bad, but it was not my experience. So, but I knew I wanted to stay in the field. So instead of quitting and changing majors, I actually dug deeper into my Filipino and Khmer heritage to look for stories of our people and our cultures that tied us to the earth. Because I was fortunate in college at that time to learn about some Black and Latinx and Indigenous communities that were coming together and reclaiming their connection to the earth. But I didn't find any like Filipino or Khmer. And Asian is just too broad. I don't often feel like that broad sweeping categorization really resonates with me. So that led me to diving more into that culture, both of those cultures, and ultimately led me to learning Khmer dance. And I learned that Khmer dance actually uses a lot of references to nature and living in harmony with the earth. Same in the Philippines. And that has been just really consistent with me. So that got me through undergrad. And I did my capstone on multicultural environmental education in urban gardens. So I was at Orca K-8 Garden in Columbia City, and then also at Islandwood on Bainbridge Island, and compared and contrasted the ways that those very different communities use art, storytelling, and food to teach young people about the environment. And then I led backpacking trips for a little bit through the YMCA, Bold and Gold. And that was so cool to be a Dudley Edmondson Fellow, where I got to learn the technical skills of backpacking because of my youth skills. And I got to do that for 2 summers. I was a AmeriCorps for Earth Service Corps. I saw you all had YMCA Earth Service Corps on here earlier this week. So I was an AmeriCorps there at several high schools in the South End and Bainbridge Island. And then I met James King Jr. in my grad program. We were part of Islandwood's Urban Environmental Education Master's Program with Antioch University, Seattle. And from there, I just found myself back into community work somehow. And it's been really sweet to see that spending time outside and seeing the gifts of Mother Earth be what inspires the healing, the creativity, the connection across generations. That really resonates with my community, even though Khmer folks are not often the ones who are advocating for, green buildings, for environmental policies. We're not in climate task forces or anything like that. So I'm usually the only Khmer person in those spaces, but it's really sweet to see that on the ground, it resonates with people so deeply. So I'll just stop there, but thank you for having me.
That's wonderful.
Appreciate it.
No, that's great. And you guys the community just celebrated New Year, right?
We
Correct?
Yes. Yeah. Khmer's New Year celebrations like all April.
Yeah.
But we at PCSKC did have our New Year's show 2 weeks ago. And then the White Center Khmer New Year Street Festival is this Saturday in
All
White
right.
Center. Mm-hmm.
Free, everybody just come on down, right?
Yeah, it's free. Yeah, our youth are performing at 11:20 and 11:35, but there will be performances all day and a papaya salad boklahong contest that we have some elders competing in. So it's a good opportunity to learn about our culture and be a part of the festivities outside of the country.
No, that's beautiful. I did do some research on the Khmer New Year celebration. There are certain things. You clean up the house, you make it spotless. There are certain dishes. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I mean, thank you, Wikipedia. Thank you, Encyclopedia. Thank you, Merriam-Webster. I mean, I was going through it all. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And I'll just say this, Stephanie, when you came on the show a couple of years ago with the dress, oh, yes. My God, it's very beautiful. And you showed me, I would just say this. It's really, if you get a chance, let's go get out there and get up to the event coming up this weekend. It's going to be in White Center, you said, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 16th Avenue Southwest and Southwest 98th Street.
All right, right in the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, real quick.
I have one question. Let me interrupt. Stephanie, what is the significance of the papaya salad?
Oh, well, boklahong or papaya salad, it's best when it's like pounded fresh. You got to like shred the papaya, cut the tomatoes. It's all about the sauce. So people have different sauces they have. And then you like use a mortar and pestle and you pound it all together. So different regions have different styles, different levels of spiciness, different amounts of fish sauce or fermented fish. So I think it's just it's a fun thing to watch have happen. It's like people putting all their ingredients in and then pounding it. And then the tastes are just they just really vary across regions.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. Hey, okay. And when does this going down?
This is Saturday, April 27th. Yes. And I believe festivities start maybe around 10 o'clock. Our youth are performing a traditional blessing dance and a fishing dance at 11:20 and 11:35. And then there are other dance groups, other traditional Khmer dance groups around the region that will also be doing dances too.
And there's food. There's gonna be food.
Food vendors.
Yeah. Real quick, and I want to get to you, James, before we take a break. We'll be taking a break at about 2:27. The Khmer community, one of the largest communities of Khmer individuals, is in Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle Tacoma is the third largest in the country.
Largest is LA. Second largest is, believe it or not, Boston. I didn't know that. And the third
first is Long Beach. You gotta be specific, John. It's Long Beach, not LA. And then it's Lowell, Massachusetts, not Boston. But Boston's like 45 minutes away.
Boston is near Lowell. Come on.
Yeah. They get particular.
Yeah. And Seattle has got almost 20,000.
Seattle, Tacoma. Yeah. When you combine Seattle and Tacoma, we're the biggest. Yeah. Tacoma has more than Seattle.
Really? Well, Tacoma, well, they need that because they ain't got much anyway. Oops, sorry. Thank you very much. But as a whole, there are almost over 276,000 persons of Cambodian descent, Khmer descent. Many of them are refugees, and many of them fled Cambodia because of the Khmer Rouge. And it was, and there's still, to some elements in the community, there's still a lot of, I guess you could say, a lot of grist and a lot of pain behind that. Yes. Yes. That's for another day, but thank you for sharing that. And thank you, Stephanie. And, I really appreciate the fact that you're spending time and transplanted into this community, and you just fit right in, just like James King III. So James, we had to get you on. Yeah, because when I found out that you were into farming or agriculture? You were into fishing? You know, not hunting. I don't know hunting, but fishing. I know you hunt, but going into the outdoors and understanding the relationship between us and the environment. See, the thing is, people have to understand every culture has a background dealing with the environment from the standpoint of how they lived and survived agriculturally, raising animals, all that stuff. The urban setting is a modern manifestation, living in a building as opposed to living on a farm. And it also changed the pattern based on sociologists of what we call the nuclear family and the extended family. You needed that large extended family to work the farm. So you had grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, nephews, that kind of stuff. So James, you are originally from the ATL, correct?
Yeah,
And
yes, sir. Born and raised in the A. Then my parents moved us out a little bit further in the suburbs of Atlanta, which is called Paulding County,
mhm.
and Powder Springs, Georgia.
Oh
But
yeah.
I spent a lot of my summers and winter times, in my grandparents down in Upson County, um, on their farm.
Wow.
So yeah, and
It comes naturally. You comes naturally. You grew up in that kind of environment. So you went to school. You went to traditional HBCU, correct?
Yeah, so in college, I started off in Atlanta Technical College, and then once I graduated with my diploma in architectural and mechanical design,
Mm,
drafting and design, I went to Morehouse College.
mm. A Morehouse guy.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been on campus. It's really interesting place. Well, I went on the campus because I went over on Cascade Road and went to Big Mac, the soul food restaurant up that way. That's all I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't know my right. So James, you come through this naturally, in a sense. So does Stephanie. This is not common. You take your average young person of your age group, they don't have a clue, and I think that's unfortunate. There are issues involving land use because you have to have land to grow things and raise the animals and all that. One of the issues is the whole issue of reparations and reclaiming lands and properties by individuals who were displaced, primarily African Americans, descendants of slaves. So that has to be an issue. But you got involved. I mean, you got basically hands on, just like Stephanie. Um, and what what would you say inspired you? And then I'm gonna ask Stephanie the same thing before we go to break. What inspired you?
Um, let's start by. I'm glad that you. Yeah, let's go. Let's skip to college. Working in environmental justice, I had friends, and I definitely had one of my Spelman sisters who've been trying to get me to do environmental justice work when I was in Atlanta all the time, and I was
Mhm.
like, no, no, no. And just being honest, like she was just like, yo, it's a whole bunch of ladies. We need help. Help us with this, that. And I was going for the wrong reason, but it inspired me. Like I literally was going to just have a social outing, even though it was community like surrounding ladies. But then I end up like my passion came into learning more about the social justice movement, and then also looking and seeing what we did around in my community, because
Mhm.
the Atlanta University Center, where historically black colleges and universities in Atlanta,
Spelman,
we got
Morehouse. Yeah,
four.
yeah.
Yeah, we got many right there,
Mhm.
clustered together, and to see the work being done in my community. And this is what we was doing. We was exchanging CFL, or the compact fluorescent light bulbs, for incandescent light bulbs, for free.
Mm,
So we had a warehouse full of light bulbs. We was called Let's Raise a Million. Then we switched it over to Let's Retrofit a Million. It
mm.
was college students, Morehouse, Spelman, Agnes Scott. Like we all got together, and then on the weekends, we'll go to communities of modest means, and then we'll just go inside these communities
Exchange them.
and just exchange the light bulbs. And when
Yeah.
you in the exchange the light bulbs, and this was like before, like LEDs was like probably $20-$30 a pack. So for one, so it was just on the next level to start with the CFL, the comeback, the swirly light bulbs. But it was a conversation starter. It was really to see where our people needs were. It was like it came to a point where we was in there and we was going into people's homes that didn't have lamps. And so not only the CFL light bulbs, we had a couple of our college students go to the Family Dollar or something and then get lights, get a lamp, and then give to the people. We just started seeing that there was a greater need, and like by giving these incandescent light bulbs, so we started pulling out statistics and seeing how we can help in different ways, and how we can service the community. Because being mindful, we in the home of like Georgia, the Braves, Ted Turner. And, when you think about Ted Turner, you automatically think about Captain Planet because he was the creator, him and TBS created Captain Planet. So people thought of in community in Atlanta, like being green is something for rich white folks. It was never something that you can just do until we end up giving these light bulbs with our own people, with our own faces, and coming in our community and then having these conversations and being like, yo, we can do this. Like, this is us. Like, we are connected to the environment. We always been connected to the environment. We always been connected to giving back or making changes on the environmental stat. And then people knew, but we wasn't making the connection. We wasn't making a true connection. So that's like how my spark and my passion, like I said, I went for one intent, but it ended up sparking something into me. And so I end up being an outreach coordinator. We started, Obama sent some funds down to the city of Atlanta. So we worked with the city of Atlanta and the youth build program, and we created summer jobs, summer opportunities for youth where they got paid. And not only we taught them how to like go in and took the model of changing the CFL light bulbs, but we taught them how to build low flow or put in low flow toilets for elders, and then also switch out sink fixtures and everything else. So we did that all throughout the summers. Yeah,
and we're going to continue. And I'm going to go back to you, Stephanie, to get that word on your inspiration. Hey, we're going to take a quick break right here. You're listening to our show, Seattle here on not Seattle here on Rainier Avenue Radio App, on our panel discussion on communities of conscience. My very special guest, Stephanie Young, co-director of the Khmer communities of Seattle King County, and James King III, or I believe Junior, and he is been active in the Black Farmers Collective and other activities, and we're going to get back to that when we come back. We will be right back, folks. Stay tuned. Earth deserves more than a day.
Rainier Avenue Radio, your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Generational wealth. Generational wealth. Generational wealth. What is generational wealth? We asked our communities, and this is what they had to say.
Generational wealth to me means to provide and establish wealth for generations to come, whether it be through real estate or through other equitable funding, stocks, bonds, but first of all, I think that general wealth starts with the securing property. And that's it.
This campaign to create awareness to generational wealth is brought to you by the Department of Neighborhood's Generational Wealth Initiative, the Washington Housing Finance Commission, and Rainier Avenue Radio App. Create your generational wealth for you and the future of your families.
Mga kaibigan, ito po si Kuya Bert Kawili.
And this is Miles Salvador from Australia.
And I'm Norb Kawili, also known as Norbcam.
Kung gusto niyo po ang latest news and events from the Philippines at yung local Filipino community, Phil-Am Radio po.
We play Filipino music and interview guests from all around the world.
And I'll keep you updated on the latest Seahawks and sports news.
Kaya always tune in Phil-Am Radio every Tuesday, 1 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Rainier Avenue Radio App.
And in YouTube and Facebook. Salamat po.
Tune in to Real Estate and Money every Tuesday afternoon from 2:30 to 3 here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Join your hosts Violetta Strash with John L. Scott Kent North and Tina Lombard with Guaranteed Rate Affinity. They'll help you navigate the waters of our volatile real estate market and offer you some guidance on how to make your hard-earned money work to make your dreams come true. Learn about current trends, get tips on financial matters, and have fun, interactive discussions about your home inside and out. That's Real Estate and Money.
We need your help finding community members to help shape the future of your utilities and the environment. We have two exciting opportunities for the public to work with Seattle Public Utilities, the Customer Review Panel, CRP, and the Solid Waste Advisory Committee, SWAC. CRP and SWAC are looking for new members to contribute expertise and passion to help improve utility services and advance our commitment to environmental stewardship and social justice. Applications can be found at seattle.gov/utilities/community-advisory-recruitment. Hey, can you run that back? Applications can be found at seattle.gov/utilities/community-advisory-recruitment. Thank you. The application deadline for both opportunities is Tuesday, April 23rd.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Don't forget to log on www.rainieravenueradio.world. All right.
Welcome back. We are going to continue, James. That was really, thank you for sharing that because come on back, y'all. That's interesting that you went into this foray with one thought in mind because they mentioned that magic word, ladies. Then you developed a different mindset, and then that we're so glad that you made it. That thank you. But you know,
I mean, it was. I mean, like I said, it was a pivotal moment that I didn't know that was gonna transform me. Like I wanted to go into architecture or architectural engineering.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that I'll be this deep in the for-profit, nonprofit world.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like you said, this is like my roots.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a minute for me to understand that I was on stage and I was about to give thanks to the wrong people. And I end up realizing, this environmental movement and why I was in it is because my grandparents didn't have the language. They didn't have the academics as we quote unquote talk about, but yet and still they showed me like physically with their hands and showed me how to care for the land, the animals that was on the land. My grandparents had chickens, pigs, and cows. And like as a youngin', I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to, but I didn't know that I was learning so much to make that connection and how relevant it's going to be to the youth, the family, the elders that I work with today. And so I give thanks to Wally Maceo and Eddie Mae Hollis for the work that they gave me and the love and the joy of taking care of land and letting the land take care of us in community.
That's beautiful. I've got the data and the statistics. I mean, we're talking about the majority of the farmers in this country who are African American are predominantly in the southern states: Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, etc. So let me go back to you, Stephanie. I'm going to put you on the spot. What inspired you to get involved? Like I said, I read your bio and I read your resume. It was just really steeped in environment and community and service. So, who or what inspired you? Was it a combination of both that inspired you to do what you do?
Mm. Um, I think the order in which I was inspired is different than who, like James said, who I would give credit to. But um, I was in high school watching An Inconvenient Truth, Al Gore's film,
Right,
my
right.
AP Bio class. I think I was in 10th grade,
Mm-hmm.
and I was sobbing watching that film, and I didn't know why. I just felt this really deep sadness. And that compelled me to change, my life goals from being a pediatric nurse specifically to doing something with the environment. And then reflecting further, I think my mom from the Philippines, she subscribed me to National Geographic Kids, like from when I was maybe
Mm-hmm.
6 or 7, all the way up through high school. And I think that really exposed me to what the world is like, as far as like photos of different ecosystems, different people, different animals, different plants. I remember there were, I used to make PowerPoints in my spare time at the Boys and Girls Club about animals as a child. Maybe I was like 3rd grade. And then I remember global warming being a topic that the National Geographic Kids started exploring maybe in 2005. And that really, I tore out all of those articles and like had them on taped them on my closet when I was a kid. So I think those are some of the things I can remember that happened to me. And then as I've grown older following that path, I've learned more about my own family's history of connection to the land and people. Not that they taught me directly. Both my parents have always taught my brother and I to think about folks who have less than me and helping those who are less fortunate. I think also being immigrant and refugees, not wasting. So like always turning off the lights, turning off the water, saving electricity, recycling. Collecting aluminum cans and glass bottles was how I got money when I was in high school.
Same here.
I don't think in Washington people do that.
No, but in the 1960s, when I was in college, we were over in Bremerton. We didn't have money to take the ferry, so we went around and collected bottles from different people. Then went back and got paid a nickel a bottle, a glass bottle. Yeah.
It's still that. As far as I remember, it's still that. There's no adjustment for for that.
Inflation or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's both of you have almost the same scenario though. The senior and the elder members of your families. Again, this is an issue of culture too. We learn from our elder. I mean, we come from cultures that we honor and revere our elders. You come to America and it's all you youths. It's unfortunate because it is a cultural dichotomy amongst how we are raised in our cultures and what the American culture. There is an American culture. There is one, and so we have to understand that thing. So when you talk about your living in the environment you live in, I got to make one comment. I was recycling like a fool in Atlanta. I had bags and bags of stuff. And then I said, okay, now I'm going to take them. I loaded them up in the car. And I drive up to the place at Kroger. And there's this big guy. And there's a guy standing there. And I give him these bags. And he says, that'd be $20. I said, for what? You got to pay to recycle. I said, what? We don't pay to recycle in Seattle? He said, well, you ain't in Seattle. But I didn't know that. There are places where you actually get charged if you bring in a bag of recycle. So I feel kind of blessed. It's part of our bill, but I mean, I'm glad I got 2 big recycle bins and it gets filled up, and that's good. And I'm glad, I'm hoping it's getting done well. But so you both have shared a little bit about, well, and without getting too personal, about the things that have inspired you. So, what are the kinds of things that, um, let's say, I really love to. We garden here too. We have a small around our house. I spent 12 years on the farm. I was driving tractors and trucks at 12 years old, which, hey, and that's interesting, and that's another story. But we did it all. We did every kind of vegetable you want, and we also learned how to farm, but it wasn't done organically. We used malthion, isotox, and DDT, and we get in the thing and mix the stuff up. We had no idea what we were mixing up. And what's even crazy, we're playing like squirt guns with it. We didn't know. We were squirting each other. And DDT, malthion, and isotox. Oh my God, they're on the ban list of pesticides and insecticides. So, um, but and then I'm talking to my father-in-law, and he's 100 years old. He says, "Man, what is with this organic stuff? You all come from homes that in the past everything was organic. Same here. There was nothing that was raised, organically with supplements and all that stuff. And if you want to get a chicken for dinner, you had to catch it. If you wanted to get something off the garden, you had to go get it. And it wasn't so. Why? How did we lose that? Was it because we wanted to super produce? What do you think? Why? What is the rationale for our use of pesticides and supplements and all these things? I've heard the stories. I don't buy them, but what is your thoughts on that, if I can ask?
Either or. It's convenience. One of the biggest things is convenience, and you pay for convenience. And when we talk about some capitalistic structures, those who always had privy to access capital, access money, to get loans, are the ones who were able to start the businesses and push that convenience and say you need this. It is, I can't say it's sad, but I know that we need to re-educate or educate our community when you have young folks that just think eggs come from the grocery store. And people think that those come, and it's not always that the grocery store should be looked at as a negative component, because I am big on how we re-envision the grocery stores to help support community more. Yes, you can go to the regular grocery stores and ask for funds or something to support, but their entitled systems and models is not there to be, is there to profit. These major chains are there to profit. Is not, and I'm not saying profit is not a bad thing, but it's like you still got to service the community. If your community is healthy, your profit margins will be healthy. And so, yeah, all of this has always been based on convenience. And like, I just want to allow young folks to know that they can, if they thinking about saving or anything else, like, you can bring it back to your house, and you can probably start a small herbal garden on your porch or your balcony or inside your house. You can garden where you're at to help, grow a beanstalk or something like that, something that you love. You expire. You don't have to go 11, 12 different plants. You can start off with one plant and go from there. And even in community gardens, we know in Seattle have different pea patches, different farms that you can go into. Yes, farm is definitely open, where you can talk to our farm managers and they can find you a spot, or so you can definitely grow. But what I love is to see young people have the connection to the soil, where they can actually put their hands into the soil and be one with Mother Earth and grow from there. And that's the piece. And even when you see them do it with elders, to see them grow some plant, chard, tomatoes, anything that's significant to their culture, and then they take that that fruit or that vegetable, and then they make whatever they make, anything that's culturally relevant for them, or something that is simple, or just plucking a flower off of a vegetable and just eating it right there, and just looking and seeing that they put in that time, and what they reaping is gonna sow something glorious back into their minds, their bodies, their soul. And that's all I want to see. Like, yeah, that's what I love.
Man,
at the end of the day, yeah.
Man, that's deep. That is really deep, because you're right, and I think you will understand this too, Stephanie. We used to go camping, and man, let me tell you, that's a whole different set of a body of knowledge. There are people who live in the city have no clue. How do you start a fire? Well, I got some. No. How do you start a fire if you don't have those things? What do you eat out there that's not going to kill you? What is it that you can do to? I mean, it's just, that's the one benefit I had about it's highly. I guess you could say scouting. It's a very elitist kind of thing, because the best troops and all those guys were best outfitted were the rich folks, the white folks, that kind of thing. But we had our own. And it's too bad they de-emphasize scouting, because the morals issues and all that stuff. But it was still a good experience, and because you have had that experience, James, and you have had that experience, Stephanie, you can share that. But I want to start a garden. Stephanie, what should I start growing first? Then I'm going to ask you, James.
What should you start growing first?
Yeah.
Whatever you would actually eat and enjoy seeing grow.
Really?
Yes.
A T-bone steak. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's not
if you want that cow to grow in the yard, man, make sure you have some acres.
And you know why many poor countries can't afford beef, because it costs so much to raise that cattle. Yeah. So anything
hold on, let me interrupt, John. Let me go. So it's surprising. So Black Farmers Collective, we got 2 areas that we primarily garden. So one out in Woodinville, 4 acres, was called Small Axe, and then
Yasutake Terrace, right?
Yes, in one in Yesler Terrace called Yes Farm.
Yeah.
That's right on like the bridge. But like a couple of months ago, we had 2 full-size deer come to the property, come through Seattle, come through Yes Farm. I will share y'all the pictures in the middle of the city. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow.
So nature is always amongst us. Nature will always come through. Nature is going to do its thing. How are we storing in these lands? How are we making sure that we're doing the best for ourselves and others? Not only let's talk about the deer that comes through, like now that we are starting to be better at finding the keystone species, which is salmon. A lot of people don't even know that salmon swim up streams in their own neighborhoods. That is something unique about Seattle, that salmon swims up streams inside people's neighborhoods. And you're just one walk, just one little glance over to see something that's magnificent. Give back to the earth, give back to the planet.
Salmon all get spawned in fresh water. They go out to the ocean and they come back to spawn. And that's the cycle. And people don't know that. You could be walking across a stream and it's gonna, especially in the Northwest. But so you're saying I should try to grow something that, well, we already know how to do that, but something that, but the problem with, in all things, if you're not successful, people tend to just give up. And if you plant things, one of the things that people make a mistake though, when I was working in the garden department at Home Depot, this is not a plug, but I told the people, there are 3 things that you do wrong. You overfeed it, you overwater it, and you crowd it. If you do any of those 3 things, you're going to not have a very fruitful, growing situation. People tend to overwater, over-fertilize, and crowd their plant. They don't have enough room. When we worked on the farm, you had to have a foot between each plant. And guess what you're doing? We're on our hands and knees thinning these plants so that there's one every foot. because if you don't have that space, you're not going to grow. But see, these are the kinds of things that people don't know. These are the kinds of things that we don't spend the time teaching. How, again, I asked you, what would you grow? And you know, what should I grow? And you said that. But how do we get the word out to folks? Do you guys have opportunities to share with people who are interested in doing farming? Have you, you know, for your own communities? Stephanie, for the Khmer community.
Yeah. Well, okay, first to actually answer your question, if you were first starting ever growing, I would grow radishes because they grow so fast, and I would grow lettuce.
Okay.
And I feel like those two things make a good salad and also are pretty easy to grow.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yes. And then in my experience, strawberries have needed no fussing at all. So those are my three things.
Wow.
For our Khmer community, we have the Khmer Friendship Garden that we started in spring of 2022. We had some elders in the High Point neighborhood. There's a pea patch there that Khmer elders have been stewarding for the last 25 years. And they had been stewarding it and growing it to be a market garden. So before COVID, High Point Pea Patch was one of the places where you could go every summer, and there would be a garden, like a market stand for the elders selling their produce. And then during COVID, they closed the market garden, and the elders, as we started to get to know our elders better, they started sharing that they were ready to retire because they're in their 60s now. They've been stewarding for the last 20-something years. And when I heard of that from our community health worker, I asked him to ask elders if they would stay if I brought my youth from the community to the garden to learn so they could pass on their knowledge. And the elders were so elated. We got funding from the Environmental Justice Fund in the city of Seattle, as well as the Food Equity Fund. And we got a honey bucket at High Point. That was like their number one thing, was getting a honey bucket, because for many of the elders, they're getting older and they would stop going to the garden because they would have to go to the bathroom. So
right.
So we got a honey bucket, and that's been great because they can spend all day there. And then every year since 2022, we've brought youth in the spring and the summer to take care and help the elders out. And we've done some storytelling where youth have interviewed elders in pairs in Khmer and English about their life and about different plants. What are they growing? How do they take care of plants? So we had that on video and audio recording. That was with the help of Global Wisdom Collective. And that was really sweet because the elders are like, well, one, it was really awkward for everybody. Because the elders were like, I don't have anything to share. And the youth were like, what do I ask the elders? But everyone felt awkward, and we just embraced it. And it was really beautiful. By the end of 5 weeks, the elders felt really special, like connected to youth who are not in their family. And then youth also felt like the elders had so much wisdom. So we're going to try to do that this year. And every summer, we also give away produce. But this year, we want to try selling it to teach our youth about money and money management and entrepreneurship.
Wow.
So, High Point Pea Patch.
I'd love to get involved, but I'd have to bring my portable outhouse because I have to do bathrooming too.
You can use the honey bucket. I have the key.
Oh, well, I want my own. I can, whatever. But I'm not.
It gets serviced every week. It's very clean.
Oh, very good. Okay, then. All
yes.
Right. Like I said, I was born. Well, I was born in Chicago, raised there, literally a little bit there, raised there, but spent 12 years on the farm. You know, as a kid. Well, 10 years. James. All right.
Yes, sir.
Same set of questions and same set of circumstances. What to grow, and how do I get involved with the Black Farmers Collective? Because I know where your place is on Yesler. I haven't been to the one across on the east side, but please share with us. Yes.
Man, I think I'll say something that's simple, pleasant, that you can grow in Seattle besides the blackberries.
Yeah, well, blackberries, no. I tell people, do not get blackberries that are waist high, because you know why, right?
What you got, John?
Because when people go bathroom, they go about waist high, and their blackberries, for some reason, they thrive in an environment that they get moisture like that. I'm serious, man. I'm serious. We
Uh,
still,
Really
we,
acidic oil.
I'm not trying to be gross, but that's a fact.
it's true. I'll start off
What
the
black?
two
Yeah.
plants that I'll say that you probably can start off with. Strawberries.
Yes.
They grow good, and then rosemary.
Oh,
I yeah,
okay.
rosemary grows really good.
Mhm.
It's good on like eh, steaks,
Everything. Right.
vegetables,
Right.
everything. I love it. To be involved at Yes Farm. Yes Farm will have their next they'll have their next service day or
Mhm.
volunteer day on April 27th.
Oh, next
From,
Saturday. Oh, okay.
from 10 a.m. to 2:30.
Okay.
And then Small Axe
Mhm.
will have their next what do they got? They have May 4th
Mhm.
around 10 to 3 p.m. And you can always follow us on Black
Okay.
Farmers Collective
On the site. Right.
.com, and then also Black Farmers Collective on Instagram.
Right.
We post those information. You can always reach out, send a message, and we
Mhm.
can definitely get back to you
Yep.
if you have any questions. And then what we also try to do is make sure we have the farm tools and things that are at the garden for you if you need something. And then also, like when you leave the farm, majority of the time you'll be able to take produce with you.
Very good.
So yeah.
Nothing like it. I'm going to tell you, we used to eat directly out of the fields, not at the grocery store. Let me tell you, it's 10 times better tasting. We'd eat this stuff raw. Red leaf lettuce raw, cabbage raw, all that stuff raw. So, Stephanie, who do we contact if we want to get involved with your community or get into the activities? I know you got that thing coming up this weekend, but
Yeah.
share with us, please.
Yeah, we have, so New Year's is coming, or Street Festival, and then on Sunday, the 28th, we actually have a work party at the Khmer Friendship Garden. So that's the High Point Pea Patch.
Okay.
You can find us on Instagram at KCSKC, or you can email Khmer, KHMER, at kcskc.org. So those are the two ways. Our website's www.kcskc.org too. Yeah. So KCSKC, we've taught our elders how to say it. They're pretty good at it now. And yeah, that at the garden, we'll be there every Saturday. We're just doing Sunday this weekend because of the festival. But we'll be there every Saturday through June, and then probably in July we'll switch to a few times a week to accommodate the fast growing season and youth being out of school. So yeah, that's what we're doing around food. And then as a part of that, I want us to explore like medicinal herbs and how can we turn the garden into a place where we grow and make things to sell.
That's
so not just
beautiful.
growing the produce, but
We have run out of time. Doggone it. 54 minutes is not a long time, folks. Stephanie Young, co-director, King County Khmer Community. James King the Third. No, Junior. I'm sorry. Why do I keep saying third?
Because you part country and people about me, James King, the
Thank
third.
you. This was a great show. This is in
Thank you, John.
celebration of Earth deserves more than a day. This is our panel of communities of conscience. Hey, stay tuned for the rest of the week, but check out their sites, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Stephanie and James. Appreciate it much. Continued success to the both of you. I will see you down the road. Thanks. Thank you, everyone, for listening and tuning in.
Thanks. Bye.